Hi, have a look at this Microsoft PowerAutomate community forum thread. So the thread is related to OneDrive and a file search. So what we can see here is, there's a compose action step, putting the file path, including with the file name there. And then, the second step, I believe this is the path of that file, I believe. And then trying to, look that file exists in this folder or not. I believe this is using the list files in folder. That's what this step means. So what I did here is I replicated the same file path, like slash, let me expand it and show you. Yeah, the same file path I replicated here, and let's go and inspect that what's going to happen here. So here, this is my manual trigger, and this is a file path, and I'm using the file in folder. Okay, for this is a OneDrive find files in folder. So let me test that. So here it is. So it failed that, it can't able to find the file in the folder. I believe that's what the user is doing here. It says the list file in folder also here. It is. So and here there is a file name as well. I'm a little bit confused here. So I believe the user might be trying to do here is the list files in folder. That is this. Yeah. And here the folder path that is coming from this output compose. Let's try that also. Okay, so that also given invalid request. Yeah, invalid request 400. Let's go back here. So it looks like that's error here. The user is getting status is 400 invalid request because it's dynamic. The value is kind of dynamic here. Yeah. So it works if we're going to give the full path here. So let me go here and give the full path. So that is under the root, and selecting the the file path. Here it is. So let me try that. Okay, so that worked, and still, this one again, it's mapping the dynamic value from the compose. That's why it's failed. We've seen that error earlier. Yeah. So we can see the list files in folder is working now. So you may notice that there is a big ID here for that. See that? There's an ID for this this mapping here. So what happened here is, if we go back here, when we browse using this show picker, and once you set it, you click on the three dots of the peak code, you can see the ID here. See the ID? That's the ID for that file. Yeah, I'm going to copy that ID, click done, and then I'm going to add another compose here. Okay, rename the compose to folder ID or something like that. Okay, and this is the file path it is. Yeah, folder path. Right, and that's ID we seen earlier using this technique. Yeah, once we set, you go to the peak code, you can see that. Yeah, that's ID. Okay, let's I'm going to delete this find folder now at a minute, and try to run that. Here it is, it worked now. So the folder ID, oh, I didn't map the folder ID. Let me remove that and map the folder ID dynamically now. That's a folder ID. Let's see that works or not. Here it is, it worked now. So because we know the ID, we directly mapped that ID, then it find the file. I got a file called test.txt there. You can see that here. Yeah, right. So how to find this ID then? Okay, so there are different ways you can do this. So one thing I'm going to do here is to find the ID is quite simple way is you can use Graph API to find that, but there is a out-of-the-box connector here for this called get file metadata using path. Here we go. That's one we want. And here I'm going to use the folder path here, this path. So in this, I'm going to say the folder, this is get file, and the folder path. Remember, this is a folder path I'm going to use. So folder path output, yeah. Folder path output I'm going to use there. And I'm going to delete this ID now. We don't want that ID anymore. Okay, so that's a path I'm going directly mapping here. And from here, what I'm going to do here is see the ID. That's the ID I'm interested in, that from the previous step. So I'm going to map this ID here. Yeah, let's run this and see what the result is. Looks like it worked. So exactly that ID we'd seen earlier, that's the ID we got. So if you want to get, using the list files in folder using dynamic folder path like this, then you need to first use the get file metadata using path. Then you can pass the ID. Yeah. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Again, remember the find files folder I shown earlier. So find files in folder, that's another one. Okay, here what I could do now here is I can go and say I got a file called test.txt. Then the folder ID I'm going to map from that list files in folder. Get file metadata ID. So search for the ID. Get file metadata using the path. That's ID we need to map here. And the search mode I'm going to select is OneDrive search. Yeah, and then manually and try to run that. Here we go. So that also found that file then. So you can see it found that that's the ID of the file. That's a folder ID we found because we dynamically mapped that. And that is coming from the get file metadata using path. Remember that, yeah? So that's the technique you can use. Okay, now if you don't want to go through, all these hassles finding the ID, there is one easiest way to do this. The easiest way to do this is you can use find files in folder by path. Okay, here what I could do here is I could go and say test.txt. Then in the folder path, I could directly map this folder path here. So I'm going to map the folder path here. So search for the output, folder path. Then in the search mode, again, I'm going to search OneDrive search. So here, see, I'm not passing the ID here. Okay. And let's try to have a look the peak code, what that gives me then. See, all it gives me is the output of that folder path. Whatever it is that inside that, that's what it is. So that's a path. Okay, let me try that before that, because as an output, it's not quite right. Let me search the folder again. See that? So here, find files in folder by path it is. So it only accepts with the, I don't think I can do like this. I'm not sure. Let me try it. No, I don't think so. I don't think it's not. So let me go here and select again that. So that's the first folder. Then the second one, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7. See that? So I can't select. If I go back to 2023, I can't select 2002 then here. See that? It doesn't allow it. So that picker only allows to select up to that test.txt. But what we could do here is, of course, that's going to find it. If you look the peak code here, you can see the path all the way up to the test. See that there is no ID or anything there actually for that. I'm going to remove that and I'm going to put this folder path here and see what we get. Yeah. So again, I'm going to use the output. Here we go. That doesn't have the file name there. Here in my search query, I got the file name there. Yeah. So let's see what's that going to get. See, that also got the file then. See that? I can see the output body test.txt, it's found it. Yeah. So here I don't pass the ID. Remember this. If you're using the find files in folder by path, you can pass that dynamic, that name, whatever you're generating here using, using the combos or whatever it is or a variable, you can map that. If you are using list files in folder, you need to know the ID of that file. Again, find files in folder, you need to know the ID of that file. So to get the ID of these files, of that folder, sorry, you need to know the ID of the folder. Yeah. And if you want to get the ID of that folder, you need to use get metadata using path. And here you can dynamically pass the folder path. Okay. So those are the difference here between these connectors for the OneDrive. Yeah. Hope this is useful. Thank you for watching.